G'day everyone, how you going? It's Italiano here, host of the Sustainable Creative Show. Today we have episode 10. Can't believe we're already at episode 10. It's unreal. Gretta Ziller is our guest on today's show, and as well as being one of the loveliest people you'll ever have a conversation with, she is also a singer-songwriter from Melbourne, Australia. She performs in the Americana genre and has had a ton of success with her album Queen of Boomtown in the last 2 years. And if you have a listen to that, you will know why, because it is a glorious record, something that I listen to often. We talk all kinds of things, from songwriting to crowdfunding to touring and just looking after yourself, all that kind of stuff, which is, really what the Sustainable Creative Show is all about. So I hope you enjoy this conversation, whether you're watching it or you're listening to it. If you have anyone that you can suggest for me to have a chat to, I'd really appreciate that. I've got quite a few really good suggestions from people so far, and I'm really looking forward to presenting those conversations with you once they're done, and even some of them are already done. So enjoy this one. Gretta is fantastic. Check out her album, and if you can, get to see one of her gigs, because she does a lot of touring. So enjoy this, and I'll see you next week with Andy Pobjoy. Cheers. Gretta Ziller, thank you for having me in your house.
Well, welcome to my abode.
Another episode of the Sustainable Creative, which you are.
Yeah, yes.
From the outside.
Yeah.
This is
all an illusion.
Yeah, but this is an interesting thing. Through the conversations that I've had with everyone so far, we're all like kind of have this perception of like how other people are.
Yeah.
And it's not that, I don't think it's that people like present a false image of themselves on whatever, the social media or whatever. Yeah. I don't think it's that. I just think it's like you just see what you see.
Yeah.
Like, so you see your version of whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you go...
People aren't going to post photos of themselves in their pajamas at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
No, but some people do.
Okay, some people do. I don't.
I don't have pajamas, so that's probably good in all respects.
I'd maybe not do that.
Yeah, Instagram would ban me. I'll just get unfollowed. So I was about to tell you this story.
Sure.
Of when we first met. So we first met in 2012. We both did like this songwriting kind of workshop-y day where we got to play a song each and listen to some people talk about how to write songs and stuff.
Was that with Happy Birthday Helen dude?
Yeah.
What was his name?
With Greg Arnold.
Yeah.
It is, but that's
Happy
okay.
birthday,
Do you know what?
dude.
To be fair, like I think that's what he'd be known as. Yeah. And way better than being known as some crap song dude. Because it's a great song.
Oh, that's terrible. I'm sorry, Greg Arnold.
That's all right. I'm sure he's happy with that. Their drummer actually was my percussion teacher at Boxhill TAFE many years ago, and he had to teach a whole semester's worth of percussion with a surgery on his finger because he'd taken his dog for a walk and the dog yanked the lead and it ripped the tendon. So what they did is they drilled a hole in his bone and then stretched the tendon through and then attached on the other side. So his finger was like permanently kind of like that, which is random.
That is a random accident.
Yeah, but not a good one for a drummer to have.
No.
Yeah, but what I was going to say is, so I met you that day and I heard you sing this song and it had this incredible lyric in it, and then I said I'd love to have a jam with you, which we did end up having a jam. But when I went to put your number in my phone, I wrote Gretta Ziller as in like Godzilla, and you were like, "Don't worry, people do it all the time." And I said, "Do they really?" And you went, "No, I was trying to make you feel good." And I was like, "Yes, this is someone who I really want to know," like, because you were just. I was almost embarrassed, and then you made me feel like absolutely cool about it, right? And then we both got to laugh about it straight away. So. It's now whenever I see your name, I just go. Makes me laugh. So we could talk about lots and lots and lots of stuff. And so I'll just let everyone know, for everyone who is listening who perhaps hasn't heard your music before, shame on you. You should listen. But you've done an EP and an album.
Yes.
And of which I have both. And
thank you.
this is your album here, Queen of Boomtown, which, incidentally, you have been acknowledged publicly in the recent weeks with some award-type nominations, haven't you?
I got nominated for a
Age Music Award.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Very rarely, like those emails come through, very rarely am I in a position, at the time when the email comes through, like announcement this, and I get to read it. It was a Music Victoria email came through the other day. And I was like, oh, well, I was in the car waiting to go in for a gig. And I looked at it, I was like, right bloody so. Because there were other things nominated there where I was just like, oh, really? And then, oh no, that one's good. And then that one was like straight there, right in my face. I was like, yes, they got that right.
Thank you.
So
I was pretty happy to be nominated for that. It's kind of cool.
And like I imagine that, what, sort of almost 2 years after you've started working on this?
Yeah.
Because I think maybe
I started working on it, nearly 2 years.
Yeah, because I think the puzzle campaign was March or so.
Yeah, something
2016?
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it does cut through to that part of the conversation we were having even just before about how long something takes, a music project takes to not only complete, but then it can have like a really long life cycle. So, 2 years later, it gets nominated for an award at the end of 2018.
Yeah. And, 6 years ago, you write the song and start playing it in your set. And then it gets on an album finally. And, it's a 10-year-old song by the time it's released. And
it's amazing, isn't it? Yeah. I've got a few things because I'm preparing to do an album in February. And the first thing you do is you have to assess what do I have and what do I need to create, and then you go, I never recorded that song. I've had that one for ages, and it's a real favourite at gigs. People love it, and will that fit on the next thing? Yeah. Because that's another consideration. It's like, well, that song works great in a set. Will it work in a collection of songs on an album of newer material? But what I wanted to say, of course, is that you perform in the Americana genre.
Yes.
Yeah, it's country instrumentation with, there's a lot of country in it, but even your vocal it's not standard country twang. It's quite, I don't know, contemporary-ish. I think you've got some you got different buttons in your voice. I call them buttons, where you go you sing a bit like that and then you turn it on for that. Yeah.
Well, I think as a vocalist, that's what I am. I studied at Melbourne Uni. I did voice. I consider myself a vocalist first and foremost. That's your instrument. You're going to get different timbres and tones out of your trumpet or your guitar or whatever. You should be able to do the same for your voice. Yeah,
I've always, I know people say I've always done this or I've always loved this, but I really have. I remember being a kid before I even played, and Mum and Dad having the Billy Joel Greatest Hits 1 and 2 on cassette, and he is just a master at plugging into a different vocal attack for a different song. And I really noticed that because they also had Paul Simon's Greatest Hits, etc. And he's someone who just is the same all the time. Well, very consistent. And of course, musically, he's transformative. The songs are so often so different. They go through all kinds of styles, where Billy Joel was one who was like, oh, that's...
Yeah.
And even recently, I really love, I love Katy Perry's vocal attack. She's always doing something really different vocally. So there's something I hear often, and I go, oh yeah, it's stuff. I wanted to ask about one thing I've noticed about this. I know that you wrote all the songs and co-wrote just one. So, but it really flows. There's no song on here that's like the other one. There's no they've all got different rhythms and time fields and things like that. And I find, and it's probably just to do with the way I start writing, which is to press play and then come up with an idea and then build from that.
Yeah.
But mine are often in the same, even rhythmic zone. How much of a concerted effort, or is it just a natural thing for you to write so differently?
Oh no, it is a concerted effort to write differently. Otherwise, I'll just end up sounding like,
because it's a crafted
Steve
album. Like
Earle
it's yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's interesting actually, because the first track, Slaughterhouse Blues, is very much like I don't know if it's an homage, but it starts off that boom, in my Copperhead Roadie.
Slaughterhouse is like sort of a cross between Steve Earle and Jim Lauderdale, and that's definitely my two influences for that song.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, because it just flows so well from, which I expect has a lot to do with why you've, I'd say, gotten a lot of mileage out of it, in the sense that it's lasted a long time, because you keep going back to listen, and everything's really different. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's cool. It's almost like there's a whole album's worth of singles, because they're all different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess that's just a part of my musical upbringing too, is that I didn't just listen to one sort of genre. It just comes across in
that's
writing.
cool. I didn't, but I tend to only have one sort of problem, so I tend to only solve the one sort of problem in every song, so I write the same song over and over again. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's like, oh, this character is dealing with this again, is he?
Doing it again.
Yeah, okay, so I guess it's going to sound like that. No. I make a joke about that, but it's almost true. So... tell me, because I don't know that much about your history with music, and so now that I know that you went to Melbourne Uni, when did you go there?
A long time ago.
Yeah.
I was the class of 2003.
Oh, that's not that long ago then. Well, because when would I might have graduated in 2001 if I had not been asked to leave. I went to Melbourne Uni for a year.
Right.
And they said...
What did you study?
I got in on guitar.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I finished school in 95 and I had a year off for a whole bunch of reasons. But I worked, and I decided I wanted to go and study music. But really back then the option was there was only a handful of unis, and they were all very much classically oriented or jazz. And Box Hill TAFE was the only contemporary music course, but it was 10 grand a year, and that wasn't an option at that time in my little small 18-year-old brain. And there was some personal stuff at home, and so I decided to have a year off. And then I went, well, I do want to study music, so I did grade 3 and 4 classical guitar that year, and then went and auditioned, and they went, you play pretty well, but you really don't know any music theory. I was like, well, I don't, but we'll give you a shot. And then by the end of the year, it was like, that was a mistake on our part.
Oh, no.
So then, I was definitely going to study music, but I was going to go to Box Hill. I was going to make those school fees work if I could.
Yeah.
So I didn't stay at Melbourne, which kind of worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have worked out if you had stayed at Melbourne, and would have worked out if you hadn't.
Yeah, well, I think
it's one of those things.
I guess it's a story of, you've got to go on your path.
Yeah.
And, you really, what's that Billy Joel lyric? Is it, your mistakes are the only things you really call your own?
Yeah.
You don't learn a lot from the things you get right.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lesson to be learnt from it, is there? You just kind of go, oh, that worked.
Yeah.
And you don't have to contend with it. And,
you move on.
Yeah. And so did you do the music course?
Yeah, I did. I honestly, to this day, still believe I was the sympathy country vote, because I really, I'd had singing lessons, but not really any vocal training.
Yeah.
And I had singing lessons year 11, 12, high school.
It's intensely different, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, and I honestly don't know how I got in. And then I just happened to be given, so my teacher the first year went on and changed roles, and then they gave me a new singing teacher, and it happened to be Joan Arnold, which is she's one of the most well-known opera singers in Australia, like
right.
there's Dame Joan and Joan Arnold.
Yeah. So did you, because I know at Melbourne when I was there, and it may be different for you, everyone in first year studies their main instrument, and then they pick X amount of those, performers that if you want to continue to study as an instrumentalist or the singer, you can, and everyone else you need to go off into education or music therapy or something like that. Was that the case when you were there too?
I don't think so, because I probably would have been told to go off and do something else. So I got to voice the whole way through. Yeah.
So you end up with a Bachelor of Music through Melbourne Uni?
Yep.
Yeah, great. Cool.
Yeah, it's very fancy sounding.
It is. Yeah.
It's a very fancy sounding nothing degree for what I do right now.
I know. I have a Bachelor of Applied Music.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think they couldn't get away with giving us contemporary guys a Bachelor of Music, comparing us to people who got a real education. There's this implied thing with paying for your fees up front at a TAFE, where it's like, oh, you bought your degree. Like you didn't earn it. There's something about deferring your HEX fees or something like that, which people go, oh no, you actually had to study to get that one. You didn't just pay the fees. Cool. So you went through there. Did you go on to do anything else? Did you do a teaching degree or anything like that?
No, I didn't. I didn't. Just circumstances in my life. I had to move back to my hometown, and I ended up.
Where are you from?
Albury-Wodonga.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So I moved back to Wodonga.
I know a few people from there.
Yeah, and ended up teaching private music for a little while, and then fell into teaching the pipe band. So I was a bagpipe teacher for 8 years. Yeah.
There's no bagpipes on your record?
No. It's only been this year I started to wheel them out as my festival party trick.
Yeah. Because it's a fascinating instrument.
Yeah. It's like, if you break it down, bagpipes are so easy to play.
Right. Is that
9 notes?
Yeah, I was going to say.
So what you got?
Pentatonic?
Vaguely Dorian. Somebody's going to listen to that and be like, she's so wrong. It's been a while since I've taught.
Yeah, because now you think about when you hear the melodies, you're like, oh, there's not a lot of a hard, a major or minor sounds in there. Yeah. It's all the same. Yeah. And the wacky overtones, really cool.
The drones.
Yeah. I find it, sometimes I look at musical instruments that I don't play and just go, how did that ever happen?
And it's such a weird instrument.
I play guitar and I go, oh, I get how this happened. But then you look at a saxophone and you just go,
why?
What on earth? And then you watch someone play a saxophone and you go, actually, what on earth?
Yeah.
That's mind-bending.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to songs and stuff.
Yes.
Right. And so we both have had a possible experience, a crowdfunding experience. Yeah. Did you crowdfund the first EP?
I did.
Oh, you did.
I
yes.
did a little bit for both. Yeah.
And what would you say your experience is like?
They've been good. It's a lot of work, and you can't personally I feel you can't go into it a bit half-cocked. You've got to have.
It's just astronomical amount.
Yeah, and you've got to have enough options for people to want to participate, and it can't be, you can't be exorbitant. In my brain, paying $50 for a CD, although these people are helping you out by pre-purchasing, it's still $50 for one CD. Why would you do that as a punter then and wait a year or whatever? Yeah. Instead of paying $20 when it's out.
Yeah. Yeah, I found when I did mine, I did a lot of research. I would have looked at 100 campaigns, some that had finished and some that were going. And I found that the ones that did well, basically everything that was a reward. Yeah. I realised that we've got the shadow, and now I'm making shadow puppets. Yeah, it's great. My life is just nothing but that dog from Up. I'm that dog from Up. It's like bird, rabbit. But the ones that did well, every reward is really about something other than the music. If the music was, everyone knows why they're there, why that thing is happening.
But if you come up something fun.
Yeah, like just something a bit different.
In my first possible campaign, I sold deer antler as part of my reward.
Well, I saw that there was a jacket or as well.
And a dress from like previous film clips. Just because they were. Yeah, I could.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll be doing another one for my next thing, and I'm just kind of coming up with ideas. Like I've got a guitar that is tuned to like Nashville tuning that I know I'll use on it, right? But it's not a particularly expensive guitar, and I've got a bunch of guitars. So I thought what I would do maybe with that one is maybe handwrite the lyrics on the back of the guitar and have that as a reward. And I'll be doing.
But you did that fantastic. Poem thing.
Yeah, well, I was doing that project, and do you know what though? That it took a really long time to do those custom poems for people, and I had a bit of a. So for anyone who doesn't know, I was doing a magnetic poem thing. So that magnetic poetry
cool.
that you just random words that you stick on the fridge. I made like a project out of that every day for 500 days. Can you believe I did it for 500 days in a row?
Insane, but it was awesome.
Do you know why I stopped?
Because you ran out of words.
No. I went to Perth. Right, to visit a friend, and I took my words with me, right, and we went out and we got incredibly drunk, and I went to bed without doing it for the first time in 500 days, and I woke up the next day and I was like, I just broke my rule.
Well, that's that.
That was that. And I thought 500 days is good. That's a good run.
A good even number.
Yeah, and but that was it. I even took him through the X-ray machine on the airplane. They're like, what is this? It's like, it's a wacky art project. But that was actually so one of the rewards was I would do a custom magnetic poem. And plenty of people were really into that. Like I think 26 or 27, maybe a little bit more. But then I had this thing like, right, so I'm giving these things to people individually. They can't just be random things that pop into my head, or can they? And I really struggled. Yeah. I really struggled with whether or not they should be personalised and like it was like 9 months later and I hadn't finished doing that part. Like everyone had the CDs by then. Yeah. The music was well and truly out there in the world and people had that. But these magnetic things really tripped me up. So it was a really good lesson in... next time I do something like that, do something unique, but don't do something that you're going to be self-conscious about. Because I've been talking to a friend of mine that I just had lunch with and talking about, plausible and that kind of stuff. And I noticed that quite a lot of people had contribute $1 just to contribute, and that took the prime real estate on the screen. Yeah. And almost no one ever gave $1.
Does it.
Right? And we're kind of working out, is it because you don't really get anything for $1 or anything like that, or is it because no one wants to be that stingy and just give it?
Well, I think it's $1. Like I've given just money to a friend's campaign.
Yes, me too.
But it's been because I wanted to help them. I didn't want anything for it. I just wanted to give them some money to go towards that. And of course, it wasn't $1 because I'm not that much of a dollar. So I guess when people are contributing to those sort of crowdfunding campaigns, they want to support you and want to see the finish. They want to be a part of the project. So by buying something or buying a reward, it's being part of the project.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just think that that you're right about the $1 thing. It's like it sort of suggests that $1 is okay, which of course it is.
Yeah.
And just to be involved, but it's also a little bit like I don't know anyone that would just give $1.
Yeah.
So you may as well start at 20 for the CD.
Yeah, or $10 for the digital. Yeah. You might as well just do that.
Yeah. So it's interesting that stuff. I obviously set up the campaign as well, and I agree with you, like it was back end style. It was a crazy amount of work. It was great to do because do you like learning? Do you like going, I don't know how to do this?
Oh yeah, no, I do.
So now I'm totally into it and I love learning this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I got a little bit.
I apologise for the noises.
Oh no, we've got two little dogs.
This one's Lily. She gets really impatient
when you're just sitting there not giving her attention.
Yeah. And Lester's down there, and if you hear snorts and snorings and
it's me.
All weird noises, it's him.
My Labradoodle, when we do podcasts at my house with my friend Matt, or if I do the Facebook Lives, like if we're on for over an hour, he comes to let us know. It's like, you're boring.
Enough is enough.
Yeah. You are so boring. And if he finds a ball, it's just like, drop the ball. Like, that. Yeah, he's crazy. Let's have a little bit of chat about recording. So you did this one at, that's right, at Woodstock.
Yeah.
And you have an incredible bunch of musos on here. Yeah. Have you been able to play with some of these guys outside of doing the recording?
Henry played...
Yes.
At my album launch.
Yes.
Sang at my album launch, but no.
Yeah, because
they're like the dream team.
They're amazing. Yeah.
Not that my guys aren't a dream team that I play with on a regular basis.
Oh no, they would never. No, they wouldn't take it like that. So that means probably most of the time when you go out to play, you're either solo or duo. Because you play with Andrew Swift a lot.
Yeah, we do, but we both play solo.
So, yeah.
Yep. I often get to play. I actually do some work with my bass player, so it's just me and bass.
Cool.
Or full band.
Yeah. And as time's gotten by, you're able to sort of go from more of that. You know, you're doing solo gigs to do more of. To choose more, pick and choose. This gig's going to be really cool if we have this lineup, and this will be really cool. And you know, actually, we're all going to be in the same place at the same time. So why don't you guys get to play? Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
What's your go-to thing? Like, would you prefer to play with a band, or is it just a band?
Being able to play with a band. I love it.
Yeah.
Like, I get the grins up. Like, and it's always, I always love letting my bandmates be free in like what they play. Yeah. Like, I don't say it must be the same as the recording, because a live experience is, I love the fact when I go out to see a band that their live
it's different
sound
to what
is different to their recorded sound. Like, I absolutely love Jason Isbell. He's amazing. But I don't like him live.
Okay.
It's too perfect.
Oh, really?
And it's like, it's flawless. It's amazing and flawless. But there's no sort of extra bit that the drummer does, or a little something that you hear the keys do that's different.
Yeah.
There's nothing that you go, like, as a total music nerd, you pick up and go, ooh, kind of thing. Okay. Yeah, and I love that about a live recording. Yeah. Or the clanger that the bass player does, and you sit in the back and have a giggle.
Yeah. Oh, that really surprises me about him.
His performance. Yeah. And he's come out twice.
Recently, yeah.
Yeah. And the first time I went and saw him was down at the Menion Town Hall, and I was literally second table from the front, grinning the whole time. It was amazing. And then he played again at the Melbourne, I think it was Melbourne Recital last year or the year before, and it was flawless. But it was not as interesting because it was flawless.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, that's because I reckon his albums are rough.
You do?
Yeah, in the sense of like it. No, I don't mean they're bad. Like, I love. Yeah. Like, I mean, he and Southeastern just came out at the right time for me in my life, and but when I say they're rough, is like there's that.
There's a bit of grit.
It's got stuff's got jagged edges, but I can see how what you're saying is like, so they play it like it is on the record, and the parts are there, and there's not a lot of moving around and go, right, we're just going to go off on a bit of a tangent here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have thought that those songs in particular have a real scope for that.
Yeah. I think in his last performance, they did go off on I'm a guitar nerd kind of tangent.
Oh, God, that's my life. Totally. That's why all my songs sound the same, because I'm just focusing on what my next guitar solo is going to be like. So true. So true.
Yeah, which I love, and there's a place for it. But yeah, it was just so perfect that I went,
okay. Yeah, right.
I agree.
There's a little bit. It's a little bit in that when you see something amazing and you're there going, oh, I just want it to be a little more like as if maybe I could do it.
Don't be so damn good.
Yeah.
Well, I think, I play a lot of house concerts and a lot of solo stuff, and I really like the gigs where I can be myself on stage.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's not perfect. You get the best of me on that day.
Yeah, great. Yeah, always do your best.
Yeah.
But it might not be.
But that day
as good
I
as the
might
day
have,
before.
whatever would have happened. So it's always different. And I think that makes a performance interesting. And I think that, for me, brings me back to the same artist over and over again, because not each performance will be the same. And I kind of like that. I kind of like it. I turn up to somebody's gig and they're a little crusty on the edges one day, and then they're as amazing as all get out the next.
It does make you want to go, because you go, well, I don't know what I'm going to get. I've seen a few things in the last year where I've gone, that was incredible. I'm really glad I saw it.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit too good. I don't even mean that. I mean that it's like, that was a step, because I picked bands like Mr. Big and Extreme, and where they're just virtuosic.
Yeah.
But there's something about, like, I can't say there was anything not very good about that.
Yeah.
Which makes me go,
so good it loses a bit of character.
Yeah.
I like the character.
Yeah. And isn't that odd?
Many years ago, I can't even remember what it was from. I heard Lauryn Hill give an interview, and she pretty much said that same thing, that she gives the best performance she can on the day, but her kid might have kept her up all night, and her voice is raspy, but she gives it all. But that all is different every performance, because we have lives outside of that hour set or that festival spot. And I just thought that was an amazing way to think about your performance.
That is, with that's a really good point about the. So you do a lot of singing, obviously. You're a studied vocalist as well. So I mean, I tend to talk about those things as there are singers and there are vocalists, and some people cross over because they're both. I think there are a lot of male singers or male artists that we know, and one thing that I find the real popular ones all generally have the same thing in common, which sounds like their voice is going to explode any second. Yeah. It's something that the world loves about that. Rod Stewart, Joe Cocker, John Bon Jovi sound. It's like at any moment that sounds like it's going to go. Now, of course, then when you go and do a gig, I do 8 cover gigs a week, and so people ask for that stuff because you're a guy and you sing. And it's now the other thing is those guys don't do 30 songs a gig, really, right? Certainly not twice a day. And there's that what you're saying about giving it all on the day. You have to learn as a singer that you're giving it all on the day, but you got to know when to push a button and when not to during that. So because you've also got to be able to go and do it again tomorrow. And you hear a lot about these singers, and so often these days he's like what I would call originally bedroom artists. So they've come to prominence by making something in their room, and then they've gone on tour, but they don't have a history of live singing in order to work out what this does in certain scenarios, and so they lose their voice. And it's certainly like when you do a lot of singing early on, you have to contend with working out what that does. And I guess there's a difference in male and female voices and certain things. I mean, in that, just even how hormones are different in the body, how that changes male voices. So with what you do, because you don't do a lot of, say, the big 3-hour cover gig type things, but you do 3 hours driving to get somewhere.
3 hours, gosh, that's a short trip.
Yeah, but even that, like I would assume you'd be like acutely aware of, having, you're going out to say Tamworth,
yeah,
right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like a however many hundreds of hours driving,
yeah,
right? And it's hot, and the worst thing for your voice is air conditioning, and yet it's great for the rest of you. But so, given that that I've got a 12-song set, I take ages to ask questions.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. I've got a 12-song set this night, and I've got to drive then, to do this tomorrow. What are my scenarios? Do you do that kind of planning, even planning the set to go, like, maybe the set would flow better sonically if I did this, but vocally it's going to be better because, like I said, you're a singer, so you get this as your instrument, and you're not a shouter either. So your thing is not to. I mean, you've got a lot of the little nuanced things in the way you sing certain songs, and so
I think for me, my performance will change the more tired I get, obviously, but I am like a total grandma. When it comes to touring, like
taking a thermos on the road.
I don't really drink anyway, but I don't, like, I might have maybe one drink during the set. I guess the older you get, the kind of more you realise that this is your job, and you need to treat it like your job. You wouldn't go to your 9-to-5 job and drink all you can. And then come back the next day and do the same thing. You just wouldn't be able to function. and as a musician, you have to drive however long to your job. You have to perform at your highest standard. Then you have to do it again the next day. And if you stay up all night and drink and do whatever, even if it's like you're at a venue and you're talking.
Oh God, the talking is the worst. It's worse than singing.
It's so exhausting. It's exhausting. On like I can end up feeling it when I know I need to stop talking. I'm like, yep, it just feels tired.
Even just going to a cafe and making a decision to sit in a certain spot or another.
Yep.
Because you go, actually, it's really noisy here, and out in the street's a busy road. Have you got somewhere at the back in the corner?
That's quiet.
Yeah.
And it even on your ears, like I don't use in-ears.
Oh God,
and
hate them. Yeah.
But I feel like I'm getting to the point where if all my other times need to be of a low level.
Yeah.
Like even sitting watching the TV at night when I'm at home, I'm constantly asking my partner to turn it down. Like
my girlfriend does that to me.
I just want it just a little lower, so I'm not
bombarded.
Yeah, bombarded by noise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Total manner.
No, I relate to that, and I almost never drink at a gig. I'm out most nights, but it is for that longevity, but it's just for how it influences other things, like maybe what you want to eat.
Yeah.
So like after a few beers, you want a pizza.
Yeah.
But then after a pizza, you feel crap for a day.
Yeah.
And you don't want to feel crap tomorrow.
You're so thirsty after a pizza.
Yeah. Well, anything's super salty. Yeah. I mean, all that. They don't have non-salted peanuts.
They do.
At a bar. That's why beer nuts are covered in salt. To make, and they're not covered in beer.
No.
They're covered in salt to make you drink beer. Like that's what they're for. Yeah, that's interesting. Over the years now, like particularly since you released this album, how have you been doing a lot of writing as well? Because you seem to be so busy doing gigs, and obviously you have to drive a long way.
A long way, yeah.
Do you find that? I've got an episode coming out tomorrow with Simon Imrie, and he and I were talking about that kind of it coming in waves because you spend so much time on organising the gigs and getting to them that you're like, well, I can't think about writing at the moment. Yeah. Yeah,
I've only just started writing again. I have, spent the past 12 months doing shows and promoting and doing all the things I can for as many people as I can physically get this album to get it to them. my brain has been on the admin side of things, and it's funny, for some reason I feel guilty sometimes spending the time
100%.
stopping and relaxing, because you can't really write stressed. It just comes out as, teen angst. Nobody likes teen angst songs.
Not when you're 41.
Way too old for teen angst. So you have to writing for a couple of hours in a day actually really does take a full day, because then by the time you're finished, you're just mentally exhausted. So I've only just started sort of writing in the past month or two, avidly. I am a bit of a collector of ideas, so my phone is just chockers.
Everyone said that.
Full of stuff, and most of it you look back and go, what the hell was this rubbish?
Yes, I have a whole life of it. And so that makes, that's good. Much of these conversations I've had with people have been really good for my little brain.
Your own self-paranoia.
My heart. My little heart that's going.
And anybody that says that they can write while they're on tour clearly doesn't drive and set up.
There's a different. Things. I was actually one of the questions I was gonna ask you as well.
I'm just making sweeping statements against other people.
So I live 40 minutes from Melbourne, right, on the freeway. So 5 days a week I'm in the car, maybe 6, up to Melbourne and back, almost 2 hours driving. I know 40 and 40 doesn't make 2 hours, but
you're out that way.
Yeah, give and take. And so you can't do anything when you're in the car. So you lose. Well, you don't lose, but the time that you're doing that. I mean, I do gain it listening to podcasts and listening to music, and it's time that I wouldn't do that at home. So I guess that's good. I'm making good use of that time of taking in ideas, other people's ideas, and then hopefully processing them to the point where I'm like, oh, look, it's my idea.
It's totally my idea. God, genius I am.
You did kind of do that a little bit. But there's, as you said, if you're driving to your gig, then you don't get to sit there with a notepad or your headphones on or edit a video. While you've got to do that at some other point in time when you're stationary. And
I do actually know somebody that mixes while they drive, and I've not seen it in action, but I've been on tour with this person while
actually with a steering wheel and a laptop. Yeah,
so dangerous. I'm not going to name names.
No, that's good, but also amazing.
Yeah, and crazy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's full on.
Yeah, but you don't. You spend that time driving, especially when it's in heavy traffic. You spend it doing the other things that you don't have time to do in your life.
Yeah. So, having said that, so obviously you spend so much time. I mean, like I do, going to do the gig, and then when you're there at the gig, and then doing chatting to people, and enjoying the fact that you're at gig. Yeah. And at work, so not getting drunk and, being, kind of teenagery as we might have when we were in bands when we were younger and stuff like that. This album came out with a label, the Social Family, and there's quite a few other acts on that label. But I assume being a modern record label, it's still kind of very much we do a few bits of admin and stuff like that for the record, but everything else is falls under your umbrella to organise. So as far as gigs and stuff like that,
Social Family. They're an independent label, so they've been amazing and they've done a ton of the work, but it doesn't mean that you
don't do any.
So
what kind of things, because I think we, even someone like me is never worked with a record label or anything like that, still has this bit of an idea that so as you said, artists go out and tour and they've got plenty of time to write because they're on a bus, which isn't really the case, but So what sort of things do they help you out with?
So they obviously do publicity and releases for me and any
you say releases like press?
single releases, and they've done anytime I've done a tour, they've done a press release for me and all those things. But at the same time, you have to tell them that you're doing that, and you have to give them the things and tell them the dates and tell them what you want. And it's not just like, hey, fairies, just deal with this for me. You're managing them to do stuff for you. Yeah.
I guess that is it to work like this. It's like, I'm doing a mini tour. I need a press release for the tour that we're doing. And
here's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Make it sound
like.
Can you make that sound better?
Or make it sound like I didn't write it.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that most people would relate to is like writing a press release. It's like, I don't want to write this. Like, I'm just going to make myself sound like, because I know I've written it.
It's
a real gift, isn't it, to be able to...
Very fortunate that Nadia from Social Family, she does write a meet and press release. She does do them for me. I have to give her the details.
These are the details, of course. Yeah.
But I've been very lucky to have her. She's she's definitely the one-man band that does everything. She's amazing. Yeah.
Great.
But it doesn't mean it's less work for you.
Well, no, I guess
it does. It is, but it isn't at the same time. Like,
it's like an extra step in the process because someone else, you've got to manage someone else doing it.
Yeah.
But it also alleviates whatever.
You don't have to find all those emails that you probably have lost in a list somewhere
to send it out. And also, even that said about you also don't have to battle your own ego about how do I write this? How do I construct it? Because I know it's coming from me, and at least if I know the rest of the world knows someone else has written it, it can say anything.
Yeah.
Because I'm removed from it. It doesn't sound like I'm being this, that, or the other. Egotistical or pretentious or whatever.
Sounding like a douche on paper.
Well, with it, when you write your own thing.
Oh, you feel like, I've obviously written my own press releases and my own bios and stuff, and you just think, why am I writing this? Nobody actually cares, but it's the bit of information that you've got.
And it's needed. Yeah, that's really great that there is I guess there's that extra little bit for you to manage, but also it takes the onus off you to have full responsibility for what something like that says.
Yeah. Somebody else can do the follow-up email.
Yeah, cool.
Which is
that's really good. And one thing I mentioned to Damien, because obviously Damien works kind of in a similar circles as you, is that the country and Americana scene tend to come across as a real a great community. And I noticed that like some of the people that play with you play with other people and do different stuff. And you pop up in each other's videos and things like that. It's really
it's a bit fun.
Well, yeah, it is, and something that I like about that is so the next time someone releases something I want to see. I'm always thinking, who's in that? Who did that with that?
I think Lachlan Bryan did it the best with the video 10 where it was hilarious.
Well, I guess particularly if because that scene really, really well. Like for someone like me who's never I've never been, and like I said, whenever anyone's got a gig, I mean I save every event as in interested, in case on the day my gig falls through, I'll go. But that's just it's probably the next step for me is to try to work out how to work less so I can go to more. But it's also hard.
It's a tough thing because you do a lot of cover gigs and there's
it's a
tough thing to go from doing mainly covers to originals because you just don't get paid as much.
Well, it's also the other aspect of that, I guess, for me is, for the last 4 years, it's been my full-time job.
Yeah.
And it's a great lifestyle. When I say it's a great lifestyle, it means on a Monday, I can go see my mum and dad during the day.
Yeah.
And on a Tuesday, when maybe dad says we need to dig some trenches or I need to help with the fencing, I get to hang out with my dad and do that. Well, my brother, who would love to do that, is offered his job.
Yeah.
Then again, on Saturday, when my brother's up at mum and dad's
when everybody has
dinner,
their birthday parties.
Yeah, I'm singing at someone else's birthday party. Now, I've never had an issue with that. I don't have a fear of missing out. Other than the fact that I've just said it seems to be at a point where I'd like to work less to do these other things. Still don't feel like I'm missing out. Like, I get that it's a choice that you make and, you know, it's a lifestyle you get. But I've been single for 5 years. So there's that aspect of, well, that's my life that I have to, there's no option to kind of go, well, maybe I'm sharing the rent with someone now.
Yeah.
You know, so before it was like, well, I've got the whole mortgage. And so as you said about like going to do a gig, which is like no money or a quarter of the money, then you go, well, I can't afford to do that. Whereas maybe I can afford that a little bit more now.
Also, the thing that I struggle with too is that the worth. I'm totally diverting the thing.
No, that's right.
The subject is that knowing and believing in your worth for your time and the value, because Australia's funny like that. Like, folks will go and spend $60 on a football ticket, but they won't spend $20 on a music ticket. And I'm making a sweeping statement here because there are obviously people that do, but as a whole, like, there's so much more value put on sport than arts and creativity. I feel. I think it's also coming from regional Victoria as well. Regional areas where it's very sports orientated. That I've always felt like what I do isn't worth as much as it should be, and it's difficult getting out of your own way. Going, actually, no. I spend hours on this shit. I deserve.
Do you know that's the title of a song I'm writing at the moment?
I spend hours on this shit.
No, but that is the next song, right? That is the next song. No, I'll get out of the way.
Yeah.
I will get out of the way. I had that conversation. It was via text, of course, over Messenger, exactly today, this morning. My old band from early 2000s is doing a reunion gig in January at Chapel Off Chapel, and one of the guys lives in America, and so he's coming back for like a week and a half, and we caught up for the first time as a band a couple of months ago and said, it would be fun if we did a gig, and he went, how is that going to happen? And I said, we just make it happen, right?
You just do it.
So we've got to ticket it now. Chapel Off Chapel, by the time you've hired the venue and then paid the tech and like we are $1,200 to $1,500 in a hole before anyone buys a ticket. So you got to sell a ticket. So, and I've got the paperwork, and I messaged the guys like, guys, we need to have a look about how we're going to price this. And my brain just went to adults $30, kids $20, family of 4, $75, right? I didn't say that though, because I wanted to get the feedback. And so the first message came through as like, I don't know, $10, $15. And I went, right. So they're going to have 2.5 to 3. Well, they're going to have a 3-hour night out, right? They're going to spend $100. A family's going to spend $100 on some snacks and drinks if they go out, right? And then do you think $10 is a fair ticket price? It's not. I'm not saying it's not and anything like that. So it's like, I really think we need to price it in that mid point where you should expect a good night out and to be here for 3.5, 4 hours. Like it's a night out. Like the footy is when you go to the footy. It's, by the time it's a 5-hour trip to the footy by the time you leave and get home, right? That's what our night's going to be for these people. And a Saturday night as well, not just like, hey.
And the pies at your gig are going to be a lot cheaper than at the footy.
Well, they are, but it's like, it's also at a really nice venue. So it's not like they're going to be bothered by the smoke wafting in from the courtyard, right? And you're right. Like there's a certain kind of perspective that people have on whether something's got value or not. It's like, but even the guys in my band,
it's a hard mentality to get out of.
Didn't think that it was worth more.
Yep.
I'm not all of the guys, and obviously it's not been a back and forth conversation just yet. But from the very beginning, if you don't think that you're worth anything, and even going back to the My Possible campaign, where my first tier of something to contribute was $20.
Yeah,
I was like, look, if you want to be part of this, like it's a contribution and you will get something, but to even have a lower thing than $20, it's probably not worth your time and effort to just keep up with the project.
Yeah.
But so I think, you're right. It's a really important thing that we need to do. I wonder if the first step clearly needs to be whoever's making the stuff needs to value it at a higher price.
I think you do. But it's also knowing where you are in the pecking order as well.
All right.
Like it's a funny thing. Like if you're just starting out and you're expecting to charge $30 a ticket for a little venue, you're kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But you need to go.
If you feel like you put in, I said to the guys, I feel like whether or not this band's been a going concern for a long time.
Yeah.
We've been doing this.
But yours is a once-off,
but also
reminiscing kind of
yes, it
reunion.
Is. But, and there is
there's a people that follow you all.
Yeah.
That will come to that.
And we put in the the time with other releases as well.
Yeah.
We've all been building this over many years. So but I agree with that. Like the other thing is when you're saying how much do you charge and what's your value, there's, for example, if I go do a 3-hour cover gig for $300 and then I go to do an original gig somewhere and they're like, there's $100 in it, it's like I'm also only playing 9 songs as opposed to doing 30. I guess the issue there is like, well, maybe can I do anything else in that gig to boost my value to the contributing to the gig in order to make it viable? But that's very, very difficult. Yeah. Other than to sing a 3-set original gig, and then basically that's too much for
you're scraping the bottom of the barrel of the songwriting.
Right. What was that? Oh, that was a light falling on over. Do you reckon I can fix that?
And pause.
Nah. You can tell me a story while I'm doing it. Look, it's done.
Saves me making a story.
Oh, it's still recording. That's good. Oh, there we go. That's a very interesting point about being accurately aware of where you stand as far as your public perception, but also even with the other people in the scene that you're working with.
And it's also like, I learned, you learn lessons. You have these moments.
Give me some lessons. Tell me some lessons you've learned.
A lesson learned. Where I was booked for a festival and the pay was not great and I wasn't able to book a show. Well, I booked one show around it, but all in all, and this was a couple of years ago, it just wasn't worth the 3 days or the 4 days I was away for these 2 shows.
Because you had to spend on a comm and petrol. Yeah.
Driving 15, 16 hours for that. So you have to kind of go, well, all right, I would love to do this stuff, but I need to at least break even.
Yeah.
At least.
That was the response from one of the guys today about doing this reunion gig. It'd be great if we could just break even. I was like, but in order to break even, we've actually, there's a lot involved. And
breaking even, I guess breaking even is the big thing when you're starting out or have got a little something happening. Yeah. It's the breaking even, and then it's the earning a little bit, and then because you were talking about before, what was that book title?
Make Art, Make Money.
Make Art.
So it's an analysis of Jim Henson's feeding
it into itself. That's that's sort of the next step, and then hopefully you get to actually earn a little bit on top of it feeding into itself. It goes to you a little bit, but also goes back to itself. So
that's it's an interesting thing about having a professional hobby.
Yeah.
Like it's when you're, there's a real expectation that you're going to deliver on a professional standard.
Yeah.
Yet the system is not really built for anything else to be professional about it, which is interesting about doing music videos, for example, and having a budget to do a music video. It's like anyone who isn't a full-time funded music artist is going into the red on every music video they make, right? Unless they know someone who will do it for free, which is effectively a contra deal, because then you'll go and do something for them or something like that. It's so expensive.
They're so expensive. And the marketplace for music videos is so narrow nowadays.
Yeah.
Like where do you place your music videos?
Yeah. Well,
besides YouTube.
Yeah, Facebook and YouTube. Yeah. I'm stunned at how expensive they are to make, and so I've the few that I've done have been the remarkably cheap.
Yeah.
And when I say remarkably cheap, I was still find it difficult to see any way of recouping any money from having the video.
It's so disappointing because there's such an amazing art form in creating a music video. Like, and then even if you look at the budget ones compared to the $5,000 or $6,000 ones, there's a massive difference in quality. And,
huge. Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate that, you can't afford to spend that.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it, that we're talking about like what things are worth, and of course those people who are making
they're worth it.
They're worth it.
And
they're
more.
Incredible. But there's like what value do they bring?
Yeah.
In a sense of, they're great for people to watch. And like, well, once someone's watched it once, you don't tend to watch the same music video 45 times like you do maybe listen to a record. So an album these days isn't costing, what a really good music video costs. And so, but it's hard to get your head around because you want to kind of,
and you want to be able to give your audience the best product you can. But
I was going to say exactly that. You want to be able to present yourself to the people who are interested in what you do in the way that they want to see, because they want to see you make stuff, and present the music that they're interested in.
They want to see a good-looking video clip. They want to see something wobbly on an iPhone.
Sorry, everybody.
I'm not that there's these. I'm surrounded by iPhones right now. I'm sorry, iPhones.
I've got a number of music videos. They're super low budget, and they're not iPhoned, but they're they're DSLR, and they're like 8 takes, and then someone's spliced them and done it. And what I think is a great job given the scenario, and also given who I am and all that kind of stuff, and where I'm at, like it works. It really works.
I think I'm also quite lucky. Like my sound isn't polished, so I can get away with something a little bit dirtier. And
the videos that I've seen of yours as well are done I think they're done in a way that they're artistically they probably look like they were more expensive than they were, because whoever's made them has really put in like an investment of, no, I'm not just getting paid to show up and make these videos. So I think that they seem to have been invested in the project. Because they look like they've been done with care. So
I've been very lucky.
Well, if they look like that, then they must have been. I don't think you can make something look like it was done with care and not take care. That's hard to fake. It's hard to fake even with video. So let me ask you: Have you got time for a few more questions?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, great. So I already asked you about those few things. Simon Emery, who I had a chat with, he gave me a great piece of advice, which I've taken. I took someone's good advice. I just thought I'd put that out in the world just so people know. His thing was have an eye on your release before you start the project, the recording project. So the idea is like know where you're trying to get to when you start.
Yep.
And this is not what I did with my last thing. It was very much like, I'm going to record some songs and I'm going to see what's going to happen with it. Right. My last project came out really well given that scenario. So is that how you approach this? Because like I said already, like when I listen to this, it's just such a broad, almost like complete set of styles of songs. It's not contrived. It's like, oh no, that really flows, that really works, and they're all different. And you said that was a conscious thing when you were doing your writing. Did you know that it was like, this is where I'm going to record, this is who I want to record it with, or it was like, did you try to pick?
I had a couple of producers in mind, and I'd already known some of them, and Matt Fell was on my list, and I'd worked with him before.
Did you do the first EP?
Yeah.
And out of Sydney?
Yeah. And he's an amazing producer. But as soon as I met Paul, I went,
cool.
That's it, done.
Yeah, right.
You know, he was just really passionate about my songs, and I'd heard he did an album with Skyscraper Stan before mine, and I heard that album and went, dang.
Well, I'd like to tap into that.
And I was really, really fortunate that I got to do a lot of pre-production for this album. So, you know, everything that you hear on the album, Paul and with my input hashed out beforehand.
Cool.
And like the demos were just as good. Well, obviously not just as good, but they were exactly the same as the recordings. I think Queen of Boomtown was the only one that was slightly different to the final recording. Yeah.
For anyone who's listening who doesn't know what pre-production is, including me, because I've never done it, so that is when. Why don't you tell us? So it's when
we worked
got
on
the songs.
Woodstock is only half hour down the road, so we worked for months. Every Thursday, I think it was, we went in and looked at the songs, looked at the structure, looked at the feel of it, and recorded that and put instruments to it. And Paul did a rough string part for the song, for the ones that had strings on it, and it was a recording of the song that we sent to the musicians and said, make this better.
Had you played many of the songs live for a long time beforehand? Yeah.
Yep. I think the only ones I didn't were Round and Round. Oh, hang on. Let me tell you the ones I did. Slaughterhouse, definitely. Whiskey Shivers. Gemma Nicole actually recorded that on her her album. All Right With Me is the oldest on there. And Let It Go. That was about half of them that I had played.
A lot. Did they change with the recording, or did they?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Not a great deal.
Yeah, what will be, I think, really interesting about, to me it'll be interesting about doing something new is that, like, there'll be new songs. Yeah. So they'll be like, I don't know if these are songs that I play live, because I've, I don't know if you've got a big back catalogue of stuff or a catalogue of songs, but I've got albums worth of stuff. I mean, I've got quite a few albums that I've released, but I've been doing these Facebook Lives, and people will request a song off an album that I did in 1999. And I was like, I don't know that song. I actually had to go and learn them because I have never played those songs, because I wrote them, put them on a CD, didn't really gig that record because it was, I was a kid. And there are other songs now that I've got which I I know to death, and I've even to the point where they're not like what they are on the EP because I've played them and they've evolved.
Yeah.
So it'll be, I guess there'll probably be an element of that with your next thing where you started writing stuff for that, and you're probably like, oh, here they are. I haven't geeked these ones.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited about doing that, because then I can present them in their best format to begin with. Yeah, and people will go, oh, I know, like, especially with this album, like, you know, most people knew Slaughterhouse Blues and All Right With Me. Yeah. Like, they had, you know, people that had seen my shows knew those songs. Yeah. So it'll be really cool to release an album that nobody's
heard anything from.
Cool and kind of scary.
Yeah. It does speak to that little voice that you have when you make something and you go, I like this.
Yeah.
I think it's good, but it's really hard to have perspective on your own creations. Mm-hmm. It's not like it's not like toast. You know, like you can make the bread and you can toast it and you can eat and go, well,
it tastes like toast.
Yeah, but songwriting isn't like that. You know, see, I mean, anyone can come around and have breakfast and they'll be like, that was a good breakfast.
Yeah.
Right. But songs aren't like that, and there's something about like writing a lyric as well that my EP was called It's Not About What You Think It's About, because I just find that anything that I write, when someone asks or tells me what they think the song is about, it's never about that. Like, you know, but it clearly is for them. So, you know, I guess that's what it's about for them. So it'd be...
I always tell the story that All Right With Me is about my fat chihuahua, but it's not. I was just thinking about him when I wrote the chorus. But it makes for you know, funny anecdote.
Yeah. Do you know what? A song called My Fat Chihuahua would be good. Do you ever rewrite your own lyrics, like to parody your own songs?
Oh, not to parody. I do rewrite them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got like all of my songs. I've got like the parody lyrics.
Oh really?
Yeah, just because you know you've heard them so many times.
Like a fun idea.
Yeah, it's just you just heard them so many times that you know that rhyme actually rhymes with some like dirty word. Yeah. So then you put that one in.
It's all right with my chi.
My chi. Do you in a writing lyric writing process do you find that stuff comes pretty easy, or do you do what I do and spend 2 years rewriting it?
It depends. Yeah. It really depends. So Queen of Boomtown took me years to write.
Right.
I actually took that song to a Pat Patterson workshop.
Oh, cool.
And he ripped it to shreds, and I was afraid of the song.
Oh wow.
For years. Yeah, I had it sitting there in its skeleton form, like half rewritten again, and I was just, I'm like, I can't deal with that song. It's too scary.
Yeah, okay.
And until I looked at the title, I'm like, I have to finish this to present to Paul as another option for a song.
Such a wicked song.
And I'm really glad I did.
Yeah. For anyone who isn't listening, Pat Patters isn't listening. If you're not listening,
what are you doing here not listening?
For anyone who isn't listening, which is almost everyone in the world, don't worry about what I'm about to say. But for those of you who are, Pat Patterson is a lyric writing guru.
Yeah.
I say he's a guru.
The head of
Berkeley
songwriting at Berkeley.
I say guru because as many people kind of vouch for his brilliance as they do think he's a quack. I've got a couple of his songwriting books. I think there's a lot of great stuff in there, and I also think there's a lot of stuff where I'm just like, man, I don't care what you say about that song. I think it's great.
But he says that, like, you know, there's rules, and then you break them.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I think yes, but I've been to one of his workshops, and I've wanted to go to more, but they've been on Saturday afternoons and Sunday afternoons when I've got gigs. So you miss out on that kind of stuff. And so, but the one I went to, he ripped apart a Tori Amos song, and I was like, nah, you're wrong. You're just wrong about that. Like, that's an incredible song and a way of her delivering that. And I get what you're saying, but you're wrong.
But I disagree.
No, I love that song so much. I wasn't even prepared. I wasn't prepared to disagree. I was just like, you're just wrong, Pat. Yeah. I almost walked out. So you have. You've got I would suspect this is a busy time of year for you too, in the sense of it's coming up. It's summer, and are you doing a caravan park tour again?
Yeah.
Oh, when I heard about that, I thought it was so great. Will this be the second or third?
This will be the third.
Yeah. So is it with Andrew?
Yeah.
Andrew Swift is a similar artist and singer-songwriter, Americana gentleman who I've never met. Yeah. But I like the look of. He seems like a solid fella.
He's all right.
Yep. Did someone say he has a connection in the caravanning industry?
Yeah, Andrew is one of those lucky ducks that has been able to go from working full time to gigging full time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, it gets weird.
No problem.
So he's
should have brought a third microphone.
You can probably hear
probably
this. Probably pick up all the little snorts that he makes.
This is now a dogcast.
This is Lester. Andrew used to work for a Jayco dealership, servicing and repairing caravans.
Cool.
Yeah, and one year we were actually playing at the Man from Snowy River Bush Festival, and Frankie J. Holden was one of the headline acts, and Andrew got to talking to him, and Frankie just said, oh, if you're ever passing through Tathra, I own a caravan park, and we put on music there on a regular basis, and Andrew's a bit of an ideas man, so he was coming up with brilliant and crazy ideas, and he said to me, you know what, we should do a tour of caravan parks. And I'm like, sure.
Captive audience.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in a sense of they're there and they want something to do.
Well, our other thing was we were going to Tamworth. Like it's in January, and it's on our way to Tamworth, and we were like, you know what? Even if we sell 5 CDs each and get free accommodation,
perfect. Yeah.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
And that'll be a little bit of money on our way to Tamworth, which is an insane week, and we only earn a little bit of money there too. And, we'll break even. It'll be a good way to get there and a fun way to get there. We had no idea how successful it would be.
Oh, that's great.
After I think it was our third show, people bought a lot of merch, and we kind of walked away going, what?
That's awesome. We're going to have to go home and get some more.
Yeah. We're going to have to do more of these. Yeah. And then last year was fantastic, and we added a popcorn machine. Well, when I say we, I'm including myself in that genius idea. And then, this year we're expanding again, and
awesome.
And again, it's still a fantastic way for us to get to Tamworth and do a tour that's slightly different and gets an audience that wouldn't necessarily come and see us. If we played at a pub in the town that they were camping at, they wouldn't come and see us. But
if they wanted to, someone would have to babysit all the kids. But this way you can play at a time of day as well, which is more family friendly.
And the kids run around and do their thing, and parents sit back on the chairs and have a listen and a drink and a nibble. And
I've done a few caravan park gigs down Apollo Bayway over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And right about the time when you guys were doing yours, I was like, and we were doing covers.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have mattered.
No,
what we played.
That's the cool thing. Yeah. We do originals. We maybe do half a dozen covers.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting that we get to do a 2-hour show.
Yeah.
To people that have no idea who we are, and do our own original music.
That's so cool.
And they sit and enjoy it. And people have it's not a a captive audience in that they don't have anywhere else to go. They can go back to their tents if they like, but they sit around and enjoy it. And it's always a beautiful little view wherever we are. It's usually on a beach. Or very beach adjacent. So
that's great. Yeah. It's such a it's such a good idea, but it's also great that it's a good idea that works. Yeah. Because there are so many good ideas that don't get to work for some reason or another, or for a multitude of reasons.
I think it's exciting that there's a fair few of us that are creating our own sort of audiences. I mean, Fanny Lumsden's the queen of that with her small town.
What does she? I don't know. Fanny,
so she does as country halls tours.
Right.
Yeah, and they're amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. Her and her husband and now her baby, they go around and do all these amazing shows in these little tiny towns and these beautiful old halls.
I really want to get a caravan and just strip it and just put in like little just chairs and a little PA and just do like mini 15 people gigs.
Tiny gigs.
Because I thought of that like, well, it's going to be impossible to ever, it's going to be really hard for me to ever to get onto a lineup of the Port Fairy Folk Festival.
Why?
Because my brain says it's going to be hard.
Okay. No, that old chestnut.
a lot about where do I, as we were talking earlier, where do I spend my time with my admin, right? Do I spend my time with my admin making stuff and writing, right? Because I do have to work full time, and a lot of that time, obviously all of that time is singing. So I have to work out there's downtime where I just need to stop and look after this. Because it's not very powerful and I'm 41. So it's like, you've got to look after it. So the thing, so where do I spend my time? And really my choice has been to this point to be as creative as possible, as an antidote to the busyness of being the cover band singer, right? So it's not that I couldn't play at the Port Fairy Folk Festival, but my idea is if I can be productive, continually be productive, then I never have to look back at my year ago. I tried really, really hard, and I came up against roadblocks. Yeah. Because this year, and I was just saying to Matt this morning, did a podcast with my friend Matt this morning. This is the first year I've got until November, effectively. And in November, well, this point of the year, I'm not feeling bummed out about my year. Now, that is a little bit to do with, yes, I have a beautiful new relationship, but the other thing is I'm also I've got a project to do the band gig in start of January. I booked the studio time for my next record in February. Like, I've actually got a plan for my future, as opposed to like, I guess I got to the end of the year and I'm feeling bummed out. And I've been super productive all year, and that has led me to planting the seeds to be productive for next year. So what I kind of figure with that is, if I continue along that path, then it will be easier for me potentially to play at the things that I would like to play at. But if I spend all my admin time, and I've done this in the past, spend all my time trying to get attention and onto things, I've got no new music to show anyone. And then that's 6 months of me not making anything. Just trying to get here and do a gig there, and it just hasn't. That strategy hasn't worked for me. And I think a lot of people do that. So even that idea of so I would take a caravan to Port Fairy while the folk festival's on, and just like, well, if you couldn't get a ticket and you can't go in, come in the caravan.
Come and see me.
Then you just have to be allowed to park a caravan somewhere. But you could do it at the caravan park. So those, I mean, I am that person. I'm like, oh, that's a really good idea. Will it work? Well, I don't know. I guess we'll see. Not a cheap idea though.
No. Not one you can experiment on cheaply.
No, but then again, what is these days? I could talk to you for hours, and I might still when we turn this off, unless you kick me out. But I might finish up. And so, do you have a pearl of wisdom that you've gained over your years of, like, say, Simon's, the one that he gave me the other day was that have an eye on your end goal when you start your thing. And I thought, that's a
really good one.
Yeah. It's a ripper. Have you learned anything along the way that you go, I could tell myself that 5 years ago I'd be... I put her on the spot.
Yeah, put me on the spot. I guess this is one that gets told a lot, but it's the self-worth thing.
Right, yeah.
Know what you're worth and believe that you're worth that. Like, it's all well and good to go and do a free gig. I did one on the weekend. I did a charity gig, and that's great. Mm-hmm. But if you're busy not earning any money from your hobby, which you will be if you're starting out, then what are you achieving? Like, how can you, unless you've got a trust fund, or a highfalutin job, it's going to cost you money to do. And know your worth. And that also goes with, recording and releasing music. Don't be stingy. Get the best of what you can afford. Like, if your budget is $5,000 for an EP, get the best people and the best producer and the best sound and the best you can get for that money. Because I don't know, for me, releasing that album, I released it when I was 35. I was too old to release something shitty.
Sure.
Like, what was the point? It'd be a whole different ballgame if I was 16. But, you're whatever age you are, you're too old to release something crappy.
That's
and
really
what is the point of releasing something crappy?
Yeah, I guess there's an element of that where when you're young, there's a really good chance that what you've written, unless you're particularly special.
I'm not talking about songwriting quality.
No, but even that is like, because I've never ever said this. You can't polish a turd. I've said it now.
You can.
But you can, and that's the issue. Is these days, a crappy song can sound great.
Yeah.
Right. So that advice you've given about.
But also, you've also got to be happy.
But here's a good thing about what you just said about, like, when you're young, part of your learning process is to do these things and learn how to write and then make better decisions and then refine your lyric writing. And when you're young, this is what people say, like, wow, this person's only, like, well, people used to say, these guys, our band, these guys are only 16.
Yeah.
We were monster players at that age. Like, we were really, really good. And by the time we were 18, like, people were like, this is an 18-year-old band.
Yeah.
By the time I was 21, nobody said he's only 21.
No.
I was a man by then,
yeah.
Right? And people are like, you should be good, you're 21, right? Yeah. And there's that thing, like, now that we are, grown-ups, age-wise, and I mean that in the nicest way, we've still clearly, know how to have a laugh and have fun, but now we are old enough to know or have perspective on whether the quality of what we've written deserves to be looked after in the same way. And so there really is a thing. If you're going to spend the time and money making something sound wonderful, make sure that what you're taking there is
as good as you can be.
As good as it can be.
Yeah.
And
I should have said the other one. Damn.
Which other one?
Well, my other bit of advice
you can say that.
Is to actually listen to what everybody says and think about the input, because you get input from every Tom, Dick and Harry. But take the time to actually think through how valid that input is, regardless of whether it comes from the old man that comes up to you after a gig and tells you that was great, but your voice needs work.
Right, yeah. Because they do.
Because they do.
Yeah.
Or whether it's the Pat Pattersons of the world.
Yeah.
That are critiquing your songwriting. Yeah. Take the time to think about whether they're right or wrong, and what would make, like, what makes them right, and whether they're actually right. Whether it's just some old fuddy-duddy being a fuddy-duddy, or whether what they've said
is really valuable.
Is actually valuable because there's so many, like you see so many people and so many acts that don't listen to feedback, whether they take it on or not, and that's totally up to you and up to your sound and what you believe in yourself. But it is definitely worth listening to. Listen to all the feedback and think about that feedback, whether you take it on or not.
Even you just telling the story of the pre-production, and obviously having, said you had, quite a few months of, workshopping even the songs that you'd played for a long time.
Yeah.
And now I'm terrified that I haven't finished writing. I've still got to write songs for an album that I booked to record in 3 months' time. So I guess there's an aspect of that where you go, well, work with the scenario that you've got as well and try and present that stuff to people in the meantime. I go, I've got this so far. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's really good. That is great advice, actually. Thank you.
Yeah, scrap the other one.
No, well, they're all good. No. I think there's an element like with asking someone like, do you have anything that you want to say about that? I've never had an experience when I've asked someone for a kind of anecdote like that, whether there's been a camera or a recording or anything like that. I've always found it to be something that's really hit with me, and I just go, yeah, that's good. My dad, when I was 19 years old, my dad told me, and it's kind of my mantra really, that all relationships are a bank account, and you need to put in before you can take out. And the advice thing, saying that the old fellow that comes up and said, that was really good, but you need to do this. A lot of those people who want to speak to you like that, they haven't put into your into your bank account yet, and they think that statement is their deposit into your relationship bank account, but it's actually a deposit and actually a withdrawal, because what they're doing is trying to make you what they want. Right?
Anecdote. I had somebody come up to me after a gig and say, "Oh, why can't you make your songs, your titles happier? Instead of writing Slaughterhouse Blues, why don't you write Happy Joy Flower Blues?" And I didn't know what to say at the time. Lucky I was with my good friend Jen Mize, who was not afraid to give her opinion. And this lady was an artist, and it's it's that withdrawal making you doubt the quality of your song.
But even the first 2 lines of that song explain what that song's about,
and it's purposefully not a happy song. Yeah, but that.
It sounds happy in the sense it's the Paul Simon trick of it's kind of major sounding, right? But it's minor themed.
But I took her opinion and processed it and thought about her where she was coming from, and and of course it eventually disregarded it. But she made a point. A lot of my songs aren't happy songs, which is that's fine, because it's easy to write. I find it easy to write songs about just distressful situations and things like that. But it also made me go, all right, well, okay, I'm going to write a happy song.
That's cool. A lot of my songs end up they actually are titled the name of a famous song. Yeah. I've got a song called Higher Ground. I once heard someone flippantly say, you should title all of your songs the same name as famous songs, so that when people are looking up famous songs, now it's in the iTunes era, that your song will come up when they're looking for it, and they might click on it because they've looked for it.
Oh, I've done that.
And I mean, particularly the world now of people doing so many covers. Yeah. It is a cover of a famous song. Yeah. But even if it's an original song, and I think that's actually a really great place to start as an idea to launch from, for it to be completely different from what you might expect.
Even if you sometimes I've done this before, where I've been stuck on a rhythm or a feel for a song, And I've totally gone and used a song that, I'll admit it, I used a Jason Isbell song for one of mine, and it transformed into something else. But I started using those same chords and that same rhythm, and it helped the process.
I have a song on my last EP.
I mean, you've got to be really aware of how it ends up, because you don't want it to sound like that song. But yeah,
I still play a song off my previous EP that I did with the band in 2013 called Just Lucky. And someone said, how do you write a song? And I said, look, the easiest way to do it is just take two songs you really like, take the chord progression from one and then a chord progression from the other, and then put them together, and then you've got two different sections.
Good.
And they were like, all right, show me. And so I took the chord progression from Sweet Home Alabama, and then the chord progression from Weather With You, Crowded House, and I like, that was the intro, and then the other thing was the verses, and then I put some other chords in and whatnot, but it did the same thing, and no one hears it until you tell them, and they go, I cannot get those songs out of my head now. It's like, because they're, that's because everything's Brown Right Girl, really. Like kind of is. And that's a great, I mean, we often do, in our cover gigs, we'll often just like get like a beat going and do a 40-minute set with that beat, and just play song after song after song that just goes with it. And quite often it's the same chord progression. So then you start mashing up over the top of things like that. People think you're a genius. It's like, no, it's actually, they're all just the same.
In the same key.
Or they're not. But the fact is that the way the harmony works is just so you know, I mean, they are originally in different keys, but now we're all doing it. Super fun. Those are really good points. There's certainly the one about valuing what you do, and then listening to, judiciously taking on what people say, and then I think even seeking out not so much opinion, but seeking out feedback. Because at the start of my process 2 years ago, when I decided I was going to so I was in a relationship for 10 years, and she was my sounding board for everything. And I was like, I've got this thing, and she would go, or that's great, or use that word in that song. And I was like, I did too. Oh, you're right. I should change that. And it was great. It was really, really helpful. And then 3 years of being single and not having that person to bounce off, even though she said, you can do that. I was like, no, we're done with that role. And then so I got some feedback on my songs one night. I played a gig from people who I really valued their opinion, and that was good feedback. And I went, I guess whatever little voice was telling me no was a big voice actually. It can fuck off now. So even just it doesn't matter who it's from, just someone who is listening. Will give you a perspective that you don't have of your own stuff, even if you don't like it. But that's great. I could literally go into the batteries run out. You're the best. Thank you. I was about to say it's a shame it's taken so many years to get back together to have a chat, but the great thing about social media being what it is, and the fact that
stalk each other.
Well, yes, and also just to observe, and when someone does put an album out, you can be part of getting it out there, and it's awesome. So thanks for having me over, and let's not make it another 5, 6, 7
forever.
And I might book a holiday in a caravan park.
Yeah.
And you can come and play for me.
It's
a good idea, actually. Gigs at people's houses or caravan parks.
The house concerts.
Well, the ones I've done have been great. I haven't done many. They're
really fantastic. We're rambling now.
See you guys.
Bye.
Do you know what I say? I always say salada biscuit, as in see you later. Salada. That's weird. And when I was at Simon's a few months ago, because he's the pun king, I said, salada biscuit, and he went, that's a cracker.
That's terrible.
That's good. All right. Bye everyone. Thank you. Awesome.